Hello, everybody, and how are you doing now that we're on this? Well, for me, when I'm recording this, it's on Veterans Day. So I hope if you're a veteran or you know veterans that you had a good day and enjoyed the week and enjoying what's almost the middle of November, which I can't believe. But I've been saying that I can't believe how fast the time's going. Anyway, but that's beside the point. You should know that by now. Okay, today I've got a really short quote that came from Benjamin Disraeli, who, if the name seems at all familiar to some of you, he was a prime minister of Great Britain twice during the 1800s. And I don't know enough history to know what was going on, but I just know that he was the prime minister of Great Britain. So that's the end of my history lesson on him. Anyway, this one's on about success. Disraeli said, "Success is the child of audacity." That's the whole quote. Really short and sweet. You can remember that easily if you choose to do so. But I think, as I was thinking about before I was going to do this today, I think it a lot depends on how you define success. For some people, success is going to be, in a sense, being able to go through the day and getting your job done and everything else like that without causing a storm. Might going to work and then retiring, after X number of years, and getting a retirement pay and just sort of like just continuing to go. Essentially, not rocking the boat. Now, a lot of people are going to want success to be something totally different, their names in light or whatever, or they might want to have, say, a degree or who knows. So a lot, I think, is going to depend on your definition of success. I think where Disraeli is coming from is not the idea of not rocking the boat. I think he was addressing or would have been addressing, or the people that would be attached to this particular quote are going to be those who have ideas about something they want to do. Maybe they want to be the first person in their family to get a degree. Maybe they want to be the first person in their family to have a business of their own instead of working for somebody else. Maybe you have the idea of being a musician or a doctor or whatever. You've got some ideas about things that you want to do and where you want to go and what you want to accomplish. But the thing about it is in many cases, many of you are scared to do anything about it to rock that boat. Disraeli is coming from the standpoint, I believe, that you have to rock the boat. Success is the child of audacity. You have to go out and be willing to do something different. You have to be willing to rock that boat if you don't want to be successful. People think in terms of pick a name, any name, whether it be a scientist, whether it be a musician, maybe it be an actor or actress. Actress, that's an old word that I haven't heard in a long time. Whether it be an actor, they talk about people having overnight successes, and which isn't really true because usually those people have been working at things for years, if not decades, before they get there. But they have to end up being sort of audacious from the standpoint that they keep working at it. Jim Carrey, and I think I talked about that before, wrote himself $1 million check and said, "Okay, in 3 years, I'm going to have my million. I'll be paying for myself." And it was something that he kept with him for that time frame because he kept working at whatever he was doing, even though at the time it seemed as if everything he was touching was turning out to be mud, or worse, as the case may be. But he finally did make it because if he made one particular movie, and I believe that was Ace Ventura, but I won't be swear to it. But he had to, in a sense, be audacious because he kept trying in the face of adversity. Every time people said, "You give it up, kid, you're not going to go anywhere," he kept going. You could think of Thomas Edison and how many people basically said, "What's with this electric light bulb thing you keep trying? You've tried it, 100 times. Why don't you quit? Nothing's going to work." And he looked at it from the standpoint that if he tried it 100 times, it means he just discovered the 100 things that wouldn't work, but he was going to keep going anyway. Both people were being audacious in the sense that they kept going in the face of adversity and kept doing things, even though other people said, "Why don't you quit? It's not worth it. Give up." So they were being brave, if you will, but they were also having enough faith in themselves to keep going because they believed that they had whatever it took to get to whatever they wanted to do. I don't think Edison had any doubt whatsoever. Well, I guess maybe being human, he may have had some doubts here and there. But I think that once he got some ideas in his head, he kept going because he knew that sooner or later, if he tried often enough, he would find something that would work for whatever his invention happened to be, whether it's the electric light bulb or anything else. As I understand it, Einstein, I believed, and this might be apocryphal, but I believe that Einstein believed that he would find something, whatever he was looking for, if he just thought about it long enough. And Einstein did more thinking, if you will, because he would sit back and put ideas into his head and think it through. Yeah, he had to do some math about how the physics work, but from what I understand, Einstein did most of his work by thinking, actually. And obviously, well, not obviously, if you know who Stephen Hawking was, Stephen Hawking had to do his work in a sense in his head too, because he couldn't physically do anything else. But for a lot of people, that's audacious, because people would say, well, in Hawking's case, you're confined to a wheelchair, you can't do anything else. Hawking, timeout, I guess I should say, he had what's referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. You might have seen the idea of this man that was in the wheelchair and looked like sort of like this, and he couldn't do anything. That was Stephen Hawking, if you've ever seen some of those pictures. He was expected to be dead by the time he was 30, and he lived a lot longer than that. But people didn't expect him to do anything. But he persisted. He had a wasting disease that basically meant he was incompetent to do pretty much of anything except think. He had people that were pretty much feeding and clothing him, bathing him, but he persisted. He could have given up and gone to a nursing home or some such thing like that, but he didn't. So he persisted in the face of adversity. Other people have persisted when people said, you can't do that, like Jim Carrey. I'm sure there are a lot of people that have said that you couldn't do something because of whatever. Now, the thing about it is in many cases, let's say, for example, okay, I'm looking at you and we're talking about something, and you tell me that you've got this goal that you want to do something, and I say you can't do that. Is it the issue that I don't think I could do something like that? Now, I might say, oh, you can't do this because, but I'm looking at it from my particular perspective of the things that I think might stand in my way if I were doing it. Now, yes, those things might stand in your way, but I'm kind of making an assumption that you would have my skills and my abilities or lack thereof, and so that you would give up or whatever in the same way that I would. Because in many cases, when somebody says you can't do that, they're thinking in terms of how they would react or what they could or could not do. Think about that. When you say you can't do that to somebody else, are you thinking about the fact that they can't do it, or that you would give up or not be able to do it if you were in that person's shoes? Does that make sense? Because in many cases, when we look at something and say, you can't do that, we're thinking of ourselves as trying to do that thing and thinking of ourselves as being unsuccessful because we can't do it. So if we can't do it, therefore you can't do it, because if you can do it and I can't do it, then it says something about me. Follow that kind of, in a sense, circular logic? So that if I'm saying to you, you can't do that, take a step back and stop and think, whether I'm talking about me, whether I might even be concerned about you, that you might get hurt or something might go wrong, or that you might have an issue that it was going to be hard on you. So in some respects, I might also be trying to think of your well-being, but I'm not you. You have to think of yourself and what's going to work for you, what's going to go in your head. And if you think that if giving it up is going to be more harm to you, because then you'll be spending the rest of your life wondering what if, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not going to have to live your life wondering what if for the next, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You will. I won't. So you have to go through with what your life is wanting and how you're comfortable with being. And if that means being audacious and taking a dare, at least you took it and you discovered what if. Then you would know. Whereas you can, 20 years from now, you'll wake up on a birthday and say, I wonder what would have happened if I had tried that. And you'll never know. And that could be, in a sense, the worst feeling, rather than trying it and not knowing, because at least then you know. The not knowing, I think, hurts people more than the knowing. So give some thought to being audacious and giving a thought to trying something, because you don't know when you're going to win. You might have just the right combination of timing, skills, abilities, oomph, and impetus and belief in yourself to make something successful. You won't know until you try. Be audacious this week. See what you can accomplish and keep going with it, because sooner or later, you'll be pleased to look back and say that you at least tried instead of giving up or just not trying to do anything at all. So I hope that's helpful. If you found it helpful and want to send it to somebody else, please do so. Send me some comments if you think this was helpful, or you don't, or want to comment on it or ask me a question. I'd appreciate your feedback on this. So I hope everybody has a good week and a good day, and we will chat with you later. Bye.